We members of the Kenya Media Sector Working Group have met at Manzoni Lodge since Friday, March the 5th, 2021, during which we discussed a number of matters relating to enhancing media sustainability in Kenya. The meeting, convened by the Kenya Union of Journalists and the Kenya Editors Guild, with support from partners including FHI, Internews, and the Media Council of Kenya, sought to discuss key issues affecting the media industry, including coverage and reporting of the referendum and how to address emerging issues affecting media sustainability. Therefore, we, the media stakeholders gathered here, have to this end resolved as follows. That media stakeholders should familiarize themselves with the guidelines on effective and ethical reporting during the upcoming referendum. That the government should consider including journalists in prioritization of groups for the COVID-19 vaccine, recognizing that journalists are frontline workers. That the effect of proliferation of big tech international firms such as Google, Facebook, on the space of journalism need to be urgently addressed through legislative and policy reforms to ensure that value generated from journalism and media work generally is used to develop the sector. That media needs to conduct a self-audit in newsrooms on the skill sets available and those that are needed. Employment of journalists has decreased as a result of layoffs and inadequately skilled workers. Therefore, an urgent need for the media to conduct a study on the talents lost as the personnel opt for other fields, including public relations, communication generally, is required. That the media should be supported to survive the ravages of COVID-19 and the economic downturn. Support in the form of tax holidays or cuts, suspension of license fees and other fees levied by government are necessary to ensure the media survives and continues to serve the public interest without fear or favor. That a media fund is necessary to support media sustainability. We've committed to do what it takes to work with Parliament to come up with a law that will establish this fund so as to ensure that we have an effective media at all times serving our citizens. That the retrenchment of journalists and pay cuts in some media houses are not sustainable and will have long-term effects on the place and roles of the media in an information society. That journalists should be adequately compensated for their labor. This means that we will need the development of acceptable pay scales that take into consideration the needs of journalists. Journalism is a key resource that media houses need to survive, and consequently, the needs of journalists must be addressed even in a challenging financial or economic environment. That there is need to ensure journalists are adequately trained to prepare for the new norm engendered by COVID-19. Accordingly, there should be continuous professional development to ensure journalists are aware and are capable of dealing with challenges brought about by the pandemic. This would also promote public confidence in media given the unethical behavior of some journalists and others' incapacity to comprehend and cover issues. That more women should be recruited into journalism to ensure the media space provides equal opportunity and space for both men and women. This means that this requires the application of some affirmative action that appreciates the current situation and seeks urgent remedial measures. That a sector-wide intervention to address the surge of sexual harassment within the media space needs to be urgently undertaken. That the legal, policy, and regulatory regime ought to be re-examined to protect media independence. That to re-energize the sector and address the recommendations, an interim media steering committee has been selected, including the following entities: the Kenya Editors Guild, the Kenya Union of Journalists, Article 19 East Africa, Media Council of Kenya, the Kenya Community Media Network, the Digital Broadcasters Association, and the Association of Media Women in Kenya. I thank you. This statement is issued by the Kenya Media Stakeholders Working Group, with delegates having been sent from the following organizations: 1, the Kenya Editors Guild; 2, the Kenya Union of Journalists; 3, Article 19; 4, Media Council of Kenya; 5, the Kenya Correspondents Association; 6, Internews; 7, the Association of Media Women in Kenya; 8, the Defenders Coalition of Kenya; 9, the Association of Political Reporters of Kenya; 10, the Association of Parliamentary Journalists; 11, the Kenya Environmental and Science Journalists Association; 12, the Digital Broadcasters Association; 13, Journalists for Human Rights; 14, the Association of Freelance Journalists; and 15, the Kenya Community Media Network. At the last count, and in this instance speaking for the Editors Guild, at the last count, we identified more than 600 journalists having lost their work in the last 12 months for reasons attributed directly to COVID-19. We are also aware that even those left in newsrooms currently are having to do with pay cuts. We know that the pay cuts are not as severe as they were a few months ago, but they're still a reality in many newsrooms.